State Assembly woman Carol A. Murphy currently is in her third term representing the 7th Legislative District in the New Jersey General Assembly, and is also a member of the legislative leadership holding the position of Majority Whip. Did y'all hear what I said? Majority Whip. She was elected to Assemblywoman position in 2017 and is the first woman in over 20 years to represent the 7th Legislative District in the General Assembly. She was born in Colorado Springs, Colorado, daughter of a Bronze Star U.S. Army veteran, and through that lifestyle, learned early on the importance of public service, which led her to spending the entirety of her career devoted to helping others. Prior to being in the legislature, she worked at the New Jersey Schools Development Authority, serving as the community relations manager, where she established transparent government records division and worked closely with communities to address local and environmental concerns. Moving on, as a chief of staff and policy director in the state legislature, she worked on major public policy initiatives that included things that are close and dear to us: pay equity, fair wages, women's health care, gun violence, state debt reduction, prescription drug affordability, property tax relief, and economic growth. In the state legislature, she has distinguished herself as a prolific lawmaker, having authored laws and forward-looking policy measures to improve New Jersey. Currently, she's working on initiatives to combat human trafficking, improve our infrastructure, ensure mental health services are accessible to all, strengthen our cybersecurity, foster policies to help small businesses, and to make New Jersey more affordable and transparent. I'm not done yet, y'all. She serves on a number of governmental committees and boards. She's the vice chair on the Assembly Judiciary Committee and is a member of the Assembly Budget Committee, also the Assembly Financial Institutions and Insurance Committee, among others. Beyond that, she's a member of numerous nonprofit boards, which include the New Jersey Council of Humanities, the Girl Scouts, and again, some others. In September of 2022, she began hosting and streaming a show titled "This Is Your
Voice." Went out and came back in, man,
with This Is Your Voice with Carol Murphy for RVN TV, Mountain Laurel, New Jersey. And finally, on a personal note, her and her husband, Michael, live in the Rancocas section of Mount Laurel with their cat, Lexington. Thank you so much for being with us. Again, give my regards to your aides that helped put this together so you could be here. And I'm going to turn it over to you, Assemblywoman.
Thank you. And thank you all for giving me the opportunity to meet with you. It's been a while. You know, COVID did do a havoc on our world, and it's brought a lot of attention to the things we need to do here in New Jersey. But more importantly, it's about reconnecting with friends and continuing the work that we started a long time ago. I've been involved in the Burlington County Democrats since the 1990s. I was the treasurer of Burlington County Democrats back in the day for a little while before I ran for the first time for Assembly in 2000.
Just kicked it on music.
Given all that aside, as the Assemblywoman and excuse me, I'm getting over a cold, like Mr. White said, I do serve as the Majority Whip for the last 2 years. Prior to that, I served as the Majority Leader. And that came about 2019, 2 years after the first election. So I'm very lucky in fact, I'm able to establish a lot of connections within the Assembly to be able to start moving a lot of legislation that we need to get done. You know, as we, our objective, or my objective, actually, my priorities is about affordability. We meet with people. We have community meetings all the time. I'm starting to set them up again now that Labor Day is over. We're starting to do our community meetings. We'd love to have one with you guys and talk about those issues within your town that impact you the most, such as the Anchor program, the Senior Freeze program, and now Stay New Jersey, which is another huge project and huge program that is starting to come about over the next year or so. We've done a lot of work for Willingboro, especially on the budget front, and making sure that Willingboro, the center, you know, the Kennedy Center, as well as Bancroft School funding for those disabilities. You know, this year for FY 2023 budget and 2024 budget, we want to make sure that Willingboro had their fair share in this year's budget to assure, and I know I worked very hard on this, and I know Senator Singleton did as well. On September 28th, there will be a groundbreaking in Willingboro, and it's for the Bancroft School, and they're opening up a independent home living in Willingboro, which I'm very excited. One of my priorities is allowing those with disabilities to live independently and be a productive member of society. I'm really quite anxious to maybe answer some of your questions that we have, but like Mr. White said, I serve on the Assembly budget. I'm Vice Chair of Judiciary. I'm also on Financial Institution and banking. And the last thing I do, and I have substituted in mostly all the committees because I have been able and privileged to make my job as the Assemblywoman, even though it's a part-time job, a full-time job. So I am able to be in my office, do the things that we need to do, and be accessible for people when they call. Majority Whip, it's a little, it's a great name. I have to be the one that whips the votes when we have hard bills that need to be taken on the floor, or when there's a bill that's bad bill, we don't want to have it taken. I'm the one who reports back and tells the speaker and the majority leader, hey, you know, this isn't going to work because it doesn't work for our folks. I do have a great role in leadership where I do sit around the leadership table with the speaker and the majority leader and the other leaders within the assembly. And we have weekly meetings and we talk about the main issues, those issues that are bills, particularly that impact us on a regular basis. Because one thing I always say, I might represent the 7th legislative district, but my bills always represent the state of New Jersey, and it impacts every single person in New Jersey, not just those who in the 7th. So when we start talking about the bills that I sponsor, such as from human trafficking all the way up to mental health for our youth, as well as educational and higher education and things of that nature, they all impact us all. And your voices are the ones that I hear and I take back to Trenton when it comes down to actually understanding what those are. Excuse me. I know I've been to the breakfasts a few times on the elections and all, and it's always great to meet with you guys because you guys are one of the best examples that I use when I talk about people getting together as a community during election time and any other community projects. Because you as Democrats, but you as Willingboro residents and community members, I'm very much in awe of how you come together and you work together. And you may have your good and bads and ups and downs, but you always work together. And I think it's important. This year is a very, very important election because of all the issues that we're facing that has to do with between civil justice, human liberties. And we know in 2 years from now, there's going to be a new governor. And everything we've put into place to help protect women, help protect people of color, help protect those folks who are wrongfully accused, could possibly go away if we do not get out and start electing those folks that we need to get back into office this year. And then in 2 years, it'll be up again with the governor. So we have to ensure that we get the right governor in place in 2 years to keep us moving forward. I would not want to see that we go backwards in any form or fashion, from women's health care all the way up to who you can marry. We just passed a bill, which I was very proud to sponsor along with Assemblywoman, and that is assuring that in New Jersey, interracial marriage is secure. Because what we've been hearing through the Supreme Court decisions, they have been getting it wrong, especially from gun control to women's issues to human rights to everything. And we want to make sure that we continue. And the only way we're going to keep them into place is to make sure that we continue voting Democratic. That I would love to maybe answer some questions you guys have about me. I could sit here, go on and on and on and on. I do a lot of traveling. I belong to a few national organizations that gives me the opportunity to meet with not only women legislators from across the nation, but also all legislators in two of the committees that I sit on. And it gives me a great opportunity to fully understand that we in New Jersey is probably one of the most progressive states that there is. And I see some of the policies that we do, and I'm like, wow, we've already done that, because I'm listening to them talk. So we're always building up on what we do. And I agreed with Mr. Banks that we have to start getting our youth more involved in this, not just on an avocation level, but also within our party, because they are our investment. They are the people with whom 10, 15 years from now, we're going to want to rely on to start taking over what we need to carry on. And we're creating a path for them to walk. We want to make sure they're able to run ahead of us and do what's best for us. People have been telling me lately, and this really worries me, is that they're raising kids in the worst environment than they did when we were young. And that kind of really bothers me, knowing that some of it is true and some of it maybe is not. So with that, I just want to open it up to anybody. If you guys have some questions for me, or if there's something more, like I said, I love to get together in a community meeting with you guys and talk about those issues as we move forward, maybe help as the new session comes up in the new year, all those programs that we have put into place, maybe we can start getting them more familiar. Whatever you need, I'm here to help, and we're always accessible by phone. And if I'm not there, we'll definitely get back to you. So I'm going to open up to any questions you have for me.
Yeah, I'm sorry, go ahead, Viola. Miss Viola.
Yeah, now that we're having the school board elections and of course becoming a new tax time, how is the state allotting money to the school boards, because they control our taxes? So how's that going?
So the school funding, we have. Yeah, we funded the schools. The legislature has been working on, and will continue once lame duck is over, continue looking at what type of new formula we need in order to continue funding our schools. And there's a lot more that we need to do for our schools as far as facilities are concerned. And that's an issue that I work it's very close to my heart, coming from New Jersey Schools Development Authorities, to make sure that our schools, all of them, are kept up to speed, because those facilities are important to our communities and they are the center of our communities. So as of now, I'm going to be honest with you, next year's budget, as we start moving, it's going to be a little bit difficult, because right now we have the surcharge. Right now we had the money because of COVID and the money that was come out of the feds. And we have to make school funding a priority to be sustainable year after year after year. And if we need to figure out ways to get more, we have to figure that out.
Thank you.
If you would, just as we're moving forward and in our mission to educate and inform people, could you explain or define the job as Assemblywoman for those that may not know or new to the political scene?
Sure. So there is, so the Assemblywoman is, excuse me, the second house in the legislature under the Senate. There are 120 members between the Senate and the Assembly. There are 80 members in the Assembly. Right now, the Assembly is broken up with 46 Democrats, 47 Democrats. There are 30-some Republicans.
33.
What our job, and we keep that majority going, and that's why these elections are so important as we move forward. So we draft laws, we make laws, and we pass laws. That's what we do in Trenton. And they're based upon the needs of our residents, based upon what we need in our districts in order to continue to be affordable to live here, to continue to pay our property taxes, continue to go to school, continue doing business here. The other part that we do as a legislature is, or as a legislator, is that when there are issues that you personally may be having, from having trouble with understanding a bill that came in, to having trouble getting a hold of somebody in the state, to the programs, we're there to help you. And that's why I have such a great staff, because they will pick up the phone and they call you, and we have liaisons within each of the departments in the training that we can contact in order to help you out with any kind of problem you may have. And if it's not something that we do, whether it's federal or county, we will always make sure that we facilitate a conversation for you. And the last thing which I personally enjoy, is going out, and besides having roundtables and community meetings and visiting schools, is I get the great opportunity to meet with a lot of kids in school and talk with them. A lot of my bills that I have introduced as a result of talking with my kids in school. And my recent one that just passed and signed into law before we got out of session was my cranberry juice bill, which was developed by fourth graders in Cinnaminson. So we have a lot of interest in assuring that my residents come to me and say, hey, we really need to improve this, or hey, we really need to change this law because this isn't happening. There's so many laws on the books, and I'm sure you all could probably pick one off the top of your head that needs to be changed because they're so outdated and they need to be brought up into the 21st century. And that's one of the missions and conversations I've been having with my speaker, including those bills that we passed that you don't see the light of day because we never know what happens to them. So that's sort of like a personal mission of mine, but that's what we do in the Assembly. The Senate, same way. They have the privileges. We go to committees, we pass bills, we vote on bills, we argue bills, we sit in on committees that will investigate if there's an issue, and we take our job very seriously. And we hope that as we come out at the end of the day, that we made it better for all of our folks.
Thank you.
Any more questions?
Yes, I would like to know, do you have any ideas how we can get younger people involved in politics?
That is a great question. So one thing I've been doing since I got elected, actually, and I only took a break because of COVID, but I've been having roundtables with high school kids and college kids. And they are very smart. They want to be involved. They just don't know how. So I've noticed a lot of the colleges, and even to some extent, some of the high schools, are getting more and more like democratic clubs for kids, right? They're establishing these clubs. They're being more and more involved in the issues that are happening around our state. So while I know you don't need to be an elected official to advocate, we need people who are advocating the issues that we as elected officials need to make sure it gets done. And that's where they come in. And clubs, schools are the biggest thing, and community centers is, scheduling meetings and just having a little, maybe a breakfast or something of that nature, or reaching out to a leader in the school and saying, hey, do you have some Democrats there? Or, I know Viola and Wayne had a great, one of your nephew, right? That came an intern for me. Yeah. And he was great. He was really great.
Yes.
And I saw him a few months ago, actually. And the opportunities to volunteer, not only on campaigns, whether it's within Willingboro or within our campaign, or on Andy Kim's campaign, or even just within the community itself, those are the best ways to show them what they can do. And a lot of organizations and interning, we take interns on all the time, and it gets them involved not only in office work and showing them what the office work is like, but also gets them involved in the issues. And also, if it's an election time, I always bring in a lot of my interns into the election when they are around. So that's the way we need to start looking at this, is targeting those kids that are in school who are looking for something to get involved with and actually make a difference, because I know they all want to. They're smart kids now.
Yeah.
I have a question. Another question, Carol. Like some kids, like organizations like we have, if you get kids to volunteer, how can they get credit for volunteer helping, like the seniors, for instance, or something like that? Is there a program that if they volunteer, that they get credit for their school?
That is great. You know what? I know the college kids do. I don't know how high school works, and that's a great idea, because I started looking into that a while ago, and to be honest with you, dropped completely off the map with COVID and all. But that is something we should work on, because the more the kids get involved, especially on election day, right? I have a bill in along with Senator Beach that would allow kids to have the day off if they work the polls, or if they work on election day. Even though the schools are closed, it gives them that extra credit. And that's what we need to figure out, is how do those kids who are involved in the civics classes, who are involved in our history classes, who are involved in any other organization, how do they get the credit for that? And I think that's also an attraction that we could bring. And maybe it's something we look into, seeing how, and Willingboro could be the first place that we doing this. How do we bring that into the schools to assure that our kids want to be involved and continue being involved, especially on election day, whether it's primary or excuse me, or general election, and on any election, and working with our folks, but more importantly, even with those organizations like you mentioned, with our seniors and with our people with disabilities. And how do we get those kids? I've been working on college kids who are in a particular program, let's say like nursing or dental hygienist or something like that, that they should be able to start working in that field to get a truly understanding of what that field is about, and then get that credit on theirs. And there's no reason why we can't start working on our high school kids, maybe, 17, 18. I think they would probably have to be a little bit older, but we have to figure out. The other bill I have in that was developed from very first kids I did back in 2018 was allowing kids the age of 18 to register to vote. They just can't vote, but they can register, because that is another way to get them involved. If they feel like they are part of an organization, they're going to want to continue being part of it. And I think that's how we start bringing them in.
President Banks, can you mind if I answer that question?
Yes.
For high school students, what we've done, we've written them a letter that they take to the school and they get their credit for their community service.
Okay.
Who is
That's
we
great.
giving the letter? Pat,
Pardon me?
who gives them the letter? The club?
Yeah. We give them a letter.
The club
goes
will issue a
to
letter.
school.
Okay. I have a question. Is there a policy that keeps political organizations out of high schools or out of schools? I've been told that several times, that you really can't go into a school because it's political, and is there such a policy?
There is. You can't go and solicit kids in school. We do have a bill that would hopefully, which I have one in myself for the Girl Scouts, because the Girl Scouts cannot go in and ask for volunteers and all. And that's just based upon that the schools have to be neutral. But you can, under the, and I think there is a federal part of it, if I remember correctly, that says that if you are an established organization and you do something after school, you can send flyers home with parents. You just cannot distribute them through school, at school, I should say.
Okay.
So that's something we are looking into. I do have a bill, because I developed that from working with the Girl Scouts. It just hasn't gone anywhere right yet. And then COVID hit. So we're now just getting back, first session back past COVID. We're now getting back into our normal routine business. So there's a lot of stuff we have to look at. And that's one of those things we do have to bring up to us.
Thank you.
So, President Banks, can I ask a question, please?
Yes.
So, is there any bills for summer and after-school program jobs for teenagers that are not necessarily ready to go into the job market, but a way of start tutoring them to hedge down that road? Because when I was a kid, there were a lot of different programs, and I don't see that much anymore.
You know that I'm great. I'm glad you asked that question because I've been I'm meeting with this woman. Her name is Donna Custard. She operates a JAG program, which is for juvenile through the juvenile system. And what it exactly does that is for kids who aren't quite ready to get a job and looking for summer school, summer work. And it's a program that actually they work with school and other organizations to allow the kids the ability to continue working or to start working and getting a feel. So I am meeting with her, I believe, now that Labor Day is over, I think it's coming up in the next couple of weeks. And then she wants to meet, actually, she does want to meet folks in Willingboro and Burlington City. So I think it would be great to get her hooked up, not only just with the superintendent, but with you guys as well, because I think you have a lot to offer on that part. The second thing I've been working with is a lot of my labor folks who are and the Youth Academy, Youth Challenge Academy, looking to do bring kids on in a trade. Because a lot of kids don't realize, and this has to also be with their parents as well, that kids who aren't ready to go on to be a doctor, lawyer, or CEO or something of nature and want to do a trade and still get an education, labor groups are out there to help bring in those kids to be able to start working in a trade, go to school, get a higher education, and continue moving forward in the field that they want to do, whether it's from plumbing to electrician to bricklayers to construction to trades to whatever that may be. So I think we're starting to get back into that technical institute mindset. I think in the 1990s, we got away from that because, as you know, we have BCIT here, but each of the high schools, and I know when I went to high school, it was Camden County vocational, right? And then Gloucester County vocational. We're starting to see that come back into play in order to allow our high school kids to aim for something more than just, if they don't want to go to college to be a doctor, lawyer, the 4-year traditional college, there's always that alternative to a job so that they do have a place to land when school's out.
No, I'm glad you said that because I'm a labor leader myself, and we just started an apprentice program. And one of the challenges that I see and I deal with every day is that a lot of these young kids are coming into the workforce and they're not prepared. And would you mind if I follow up with you later on that program? Because I think that is something that if we could hit it early enough, we could get these kids ready so that when they do take on a job, they'll be prepared. So thank you for that.
Yeah, I've been touring some of the training places. I'm going to go to local 322. We're rescheduling that, and then the bricklayers just reached out to tour their training facilities and show what they have, because also that's a great opportunity. If you see what they have, you appreciate it more so than just seeing it on paper. And I think everybody should do that. But yes, please follow up with me. I would love to sit down and talk to you about all those programs once we start getting them together.
Well, thank you.
Any other questions?
Hi, Mr. Banks.
Hello?
Mr. Banks, can you hear me?
Yes. Angelita.
Hi.
Yes.
Hi. I just wanted to touch base back on like what you said about like getting more like younger adults involved. I know that's a topic that you and I go back and forth on a lot. We're always trying to think of new ways to get the youth involved. And I know the New Jersey Young Democrats, we actually have like a high school division. Like Assemblywoman Murphy just said, it's not tied to a specific high school because high schools are supposed to remain neutral. But we do try to recruit outside of like the high school, after school hours. We don't necessarily go to high schools to recruit, but we do try to be more active in social media to try and do that. But Assemblywoman Murphy, if you could, I know you said Willingboro might be like a first test trial for this new initiative program you're trying to get up and running. If you can like follow up with us in regards to that, I think Mr. Banks and I and a bunch of other people here at WDC would be more than glad to take initiative and help push this program forward, because what we really want is more young people involved in politics.
Most definitely.
I agree.
Definitely.
I agree. I agree. And that the letter writing campaign, allowing kids to get the extra credit in school, that is something we should start talking to our teachers and superintendent. And we can do this as a group. Go and have a meeting. I'll be more than happy to schedule a meeting with the superintendent. Have whomever you wish come, and we talk to her about how we do this and how we get the young folks, because they want to be involved. They just need to know how. And we answer this question all the time: how do I get involved? And we always tell them it starts on the local level, and we tell them who to contact, and they just don't know how to find that person. So I think
Right.
that's a great initiative to work together on.
Yes. Anyone else? Well, I'll turn it back over to Vice President White.
We've been had a great meeting here, and we're truly grateful and honored for Assemblywoman Murphy to join us. Again, I want to thank her and her staff for working with me to make this come about. There's some good information that was shared, and we look to follow up on some of the things that were discussed here. So when you hear, and perhaps you can communicate through the channels already established through me, or we can broaden it, however way you see fit. But I'll be in touch with your aides, and we'll make sure those things happen. We want to be effective here, and like President Banks, Angelita, Mr. King, it's about getting our young people informed and get them involved. Because sooner or later, we got to hand over the baton. And we want to make sure when we hand that baton over, that it's not dropped. And these people are prepared and ready to grab it and sprint on down to the finish line, or to whatever endeavors that will improve the quality of their lives. So
absolutely.
Again,
and the other thing we can work on together, and I say this all the time, with all the bad things that get attention in our world, sometimes the good thing goes unnoticed. And I really love, especially with my young kids in school, they get such a kick out of this. But with anybody, when you have something special, or someone does something that's extraordinary, or just every day that just sets them above, and you want to acknowledge them, let me know, because we can do a state resolution, present it to them. It's signed by the officials in Trenton, and it makes them know that people in the state are actually watching. I do it for my Cub Scouts. I do it for we started doing for graduations, where kids who graduate 8th grade and then high school, we will do certificates. If someone's having a particular milestone birthday, or there is an event going on, a grand opening, or just an event, and you want to have somebody honored, or a group of people honored, or an organization honored. I love to do that. I love to get involved in the community that way, because it shows that people like myself are not just there to tell you what to do, but also to be part of the community and to let you know we're there to support you, including next time you have a bike thing, let me know. I'll be more than happy to support. I'd love to do that.
All right, very well.
That's how I give back too. So that's one of the things I do, like to make sure that I'm part of the community.
All right. Well, we have some other things that we do. We did a father-daughter dance around Juneteenth, the bike ride. We have other fundraisers. So now that we've connected here, we'll make sure that we strengthen it and make it even more healthy.
Absolutely.
If there are no more questions, I'm gonna say thank you again to Assemblywoman Murphy. It's been a good meeting.
Dr. King has a question. Excuse me.
I'm
Dr.
sorry.
King has a question.
I'm sorry. Go right ahead.
My sincerest apologies. I was driving and I could not unmute myself. Angelina, good evening, everyone. I was just leaving from the Willingboro High School back to school night presentation with Angelita, and I'm now parked in front of JFK so I can speak. And can I say, Assemblywoman Murphy, you are phenomenal. Thank you so much for your information. I couldn't unmute fast enough, park fast enough to let you know that what you're saying resonates so deeply for the needs of our students. Specifically here in Willingboro, we know that they need to understand and need our guidance and our support in their quest for understanding about the process, specifically registering to vote. So I'm already on the books, approved for a program to begin speaking with the superintendent and his administrative staff for just exactly that, having a venue for registering our young voters, getting them registered and understanding the process for voting. So I would love to partner with you on that specific project. It is something that we know that's needed. The more that we can let our students know what the possibilities are and how they can use their voice by voting is key for our community.
Absolutely. I agree wholeheartedly. And thank you for the kind words. I take pride in that. I work very hard, and my heart is to give back. Get a little lazy once in a while, but not too much. But I am here for each and every one of you. I say this all the time, and I sincerely mean it. My staff is there, as Mr. White can tell you. We'll connect with Mr. White or anybody, however we want to do it. You're more than welcome to come and visit me. Call and say, hey, I want to stop in. Whatever that case may be, we're there for you. That's what I was elected to do. So I want to thank each and every one of you for giving me the opportunity to be here. And I'm not going to waste because we only have about 14 minutes to go to the game.
Go Birds.
All right.
Good job.
But I do want to thank you. And of course, President Banks get in touch with me as well.
Yes.
You and I have been friends for a long time.
Yes, we
and
have.
I hope that continues.
Always.
Yes, we have. So
Assemblywoman Murphy, I want to thank you for taking the time to come and speak to us. It was a lot of information and a lot of things that we can connect with. I will be in touch. Maurice will be in touch. And you've heard from other members of the committee or the club that we'll be in touch, and we're going to put something together that's really going to be beneficial for the state, not just for Burlington County, but for the state, because we're going to bring.
I agree. And yes, and when you guys are ready to do your community meeting and get people together, we can talk about the issues, about how we need to work together and do it on a frequent basis. So
You got it.
I'll let all of you guys go. Thank you so much, and I look forward to seeing you guys. Bye.
Right.
Bye.
Okay. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye now.